Is Errol Spence Jr. gonna give Terrence Crawford that rematch and follow that rematch clause? We don't know. That's what we're gonna be talking about today, because obviously Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford collide this Saturday, July 29th, live on Showtime pay-per-view in the T-Mobile Arena. You guys aren't gonna wanna miss this Saturday night. It all goes down. I know you guys are prepared for this. You're excited for this fight, as am I. But let's talk about whether or not Errol Spence is gonna give Terrence Crawford that rematch. Just taking into account that it's been in recent news that Errol Spence has made it clear that he doesn't want to compete at 147 pounds. The weight cut is too tough for him. It's not comfortable. He's not making the weight as comfortably as he used to. Even despite the nutritionist, even despite, working out the training regimen, he still wants to move up to 154 pounds despite fighting at 147 his whole entire career. So he's ready to take that next step. And assuming he beats Terrence Crawford on Saturday night, will he give Terrence Crawford that rematch at 147, or will it be at 154? And if it's at 154, is Terrence Crawford willing to take that? Especially if Terrence loses. If you lose to a guy at 147, are you really willing to fight him at 154, where he's the bigger guy already and he's probably going to feel even more comfortable at 154 pounds? I know a lot of people talk about, even though Errol Spence is 5'9.5", Terrence Crawford is 5'8", that Terrence Crawford's the physically stronger guy, he's a wrestler, blah blah blah. But Errol Spence still looks bigger to me. Every time I see them next to each other, I say Errol Spence looks big compared to Terrence Crawford. And I think that's going to be key in this matchup. Not only in this matchup, but their next matchup. If it's at 154 and Errol Spence wins this fight, I don't see the reason for the rematch at 154 pounds, aside from the fact that it's Terrence Crawford and it's going to be an exciting fight. But if you're Terrence Crawford and you're his matchmaking team, you're the guys in his team advising him, do you really want him to fight Errol Spence at 154, knowing that Errol's only gonna get stronger at 154 and feel more comfortable with the weight cut? That's something that has to be talked about within Terrence Crawford's team. I know Terrence Crawford doesn't back down away from any challenge, so who am I to judge? It's just something, if I was a promoter, if I was a matchmaker, I kind of sit back and say, that wasn't the best performance, and then we're going to go fight him at 54, where he's going to feel even more comfortable. He's going to have more leeway to play with and more room to use for that nutrition and to hydrate even more. Man, he's going to be a bigger problem at 154, so we better get him now. So he better get that win now, and then at 54, then that's an interesting fight. If Terrence can beat Errol Spence in this fight on Saturday night, and then the rematch takes place, that's a different story. Take my money if that's the case. Take my money for the rematch, because I want to see it. I want to see it either way. I'm just saying it's more interesting. It makes more sense to me if Terrence Crawford wins the fight and then they go to 54, where Errol's more comfortable and then maybe the fight's more even. But I'm obviously picking Errol Spence, so going into that rematch, are you willing to fight Errol at 154 coming off a loss? If that happens. It's a lot of if, but it's all going to be determined on Saturday night when these two greats collide. They're saying it's going to be an old school fight. I need to see it in person. I know it's going to be a tremendous fight, but these old school fights, it was back and forth, and I think this is going to be relatively one-sided once it gets to the second half of the fight. I said Errol Spence stops Terrence Crawford in 10 rounds, and I mean that. And I'm picking the 10th round stoppage, a late stoppage. I think Errol Spence, the work rate is going to be too busy for Terrence Crawford to handle. I think he's too mentally strong. He's been through so much adversity, and I think it's going to translate in the ring. I always say that Terrence Crawford has faced so many tremendous fighters. He's an incredible fighter himself, but he hasn't fought somebody who's given him the challenge of, I'm going to break you down throughout 12-round duration. I'm going to keep that same pace, that same energy. I'm going to be careful, but I know how to go about my business and keep you thinking, keep you, never let you get comfortable in that ring. And that's what I think Errol Spence brings to the table that Terrence Crawford might not be ready for. And we'll only know on Saturday night, but I think Errol Spence is just going to push Terrence Crawford to the limit, to the point where he's not able to handle it anymore. I'm going with Errol Spence, and it's because I think that Terrence Crawford, tremendous fighter, switches stances. I think Errol Spence is going to negate that because he's the natural southpaw, and then you guys want to call Terrence Crawford a switch hitter, despite the fact that he only really jabs when he's in the orthodox stance and then switches back to southpaw. I'm going to go with that fundamentally sound and more comfortable southpaw who doesn't switch, stays consistent, and he's going to run through that door. And I think that Terrence Crawford takes a lot of risks, and it's shown him, it's given him great results in the past. But I think he's never fought someone who's made him pay for his mistakes, and I think Errol is going to tax him, and I can't wait to see this fight. Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. I'm going with Errol. You guys already know the deal. It's big fish. It's strap season. He's the truth. It's going to be a crawfish boil. You know, bring that Cajun seasoning, because you guys aren't going to want to miss this fight. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be such a great show for the sport of boxing, a great night for the sport, because, you know, we don't get these fights all the time, and when we get the best fight and the best, it only makes for a big event. It only makes for excitement. So tune in Saturday night, live on Showtime pay-per-view. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., the king of the 147-pound division. In my opinion, the winner takes home the pound for pound #1 best fighter in the world. They take that name and inherit it, and I can't wait. Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford. You guys don't want to miss it. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that post notification bell if you guys don't want to miss a thing, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Nads Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.